people at Deborah's Place. Deborah's Place is a shelter for homeless women who are there because of some problem in their life, could be there because they're ex-felons, there for a lot of different reasons. Deloitte, through every year, has what they call a help day, basically. And they go out and they give help to all the different organizations out there. So one thing I've been doing is giving a talk to Deborah's Place. So for this particular speech, you are homeless women who are interested in trying to get a career, to develop your career. Deloitte talks a lot about how you get careers and what you do with it, and I'll be addressing that issue. You people who are in auditing or consulting or any of those other service lines, you people have a job. Go to your manager in charge, your partner in charge, and they'll tell you where you go. You people are internal support or working in an internal project, you will no longer have a job. And you are fired as of this moment and need to find a job. And with those words, I discovered I was no longer an employee at Arthur Andersen. One thing we all have in common, everybody here, is at one time or another, we were looking for, or maybe still are looking for, a job. Still trying to get hired, still trying to go out there and trying to find something. And that can be really challenging, especially because of some of the nervousness, some of the fears, some of the scariness about the whole job process, about just going out there and looking for a job, about being vulnerable like that. And I know when I lost my job, there were a lot of mistakes that I made. A lot of serious mistakes, and they just hurt me and just kept me down. And what I want to share with you today is some of the mistakes I made and how I got out of it. I had a basic mistake I made simply in the way I approached the day. The problem is when you lose a job, if you don't go about approaching the day the right way, you can go into one of these downward spirals. Things just get worse and worse and worse. And that's what I was doing. I didn't even realize it. And I had it later pointed out to me. But because I was approaching the day the wrong way, there were always problems. Things would always not work out. I'd miss opportunities. Things would come up and I wouldn't be ready for it. And this just kept on going on and on. And the problem about that and not approaching things the right way is when things go bad, they continue to go bad. And they get worse and worse. So what I want to talk about today is how to make sure you approach things the right way. Approach the day the right way. Get started on the right track. The right way. Talk about a little bit more in the coming half hour about how to do that. And another thing is just attitude. Overall attitude. I know when I lost my job, it was very difficult to keep that upbeat attitude. It's so important. Thoughts would go through my mind, go through my head about what am I doing and why am I doing that and where am I going to go and what am I going to do and what's the next thing to happen and where am I going to do after this. And that panic started to set in. And these thoughts were self-destructive. And the more I thought about them, the more problems they created and the more problems I created for myself. The tension, the nervousness started small. But day by day, as I kept being out of a job, it built and it built and it built. And I got onto this negative pattern of thinking. I want to talk about what that negative pattern was, how I got into it, how I got out of it, how you can make sure you don't get into it. You don't have to face it. And the last thing is, there's so much stuff out there. If you take a look at any of those job hunting manuals like White Collars and Parachute or some of those other books, there's just tons and tons of stuff. And as you start to go through that, mind starts to whirl after a while with all of this stuff that's going on. You're going to hear about a lot of things today from Deloitte. And there's going to be slide after slide after slide after slide And it's just going to be overwhelming because there's just so many things you can focus on. And I know when I was out of a job, I went through this stuff. I read through all the books. I studied all the books. I went to the different presentations. I went to what the state was offering. I went through all of this stuff. But because I did that, and the way I approached that, I got again into this downward spiral. Because I just felt overwhelmed. Like there was nothing I really could do. I didn't know what to do, or where to go, or what really mattered, or what was important, or whether I was making any progress at all. But there's a way to make sure you don't go into that. You don't get into all of that confusion. It's simple, but it's powerful. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Getting a career is a big thing. It's a big issue. It can be scary, it can be terrifying, but there is a right way to approach it, and there is a wrong way to approach it. Well, when I was going through, I approached things the wrong way, and it actually, I think, held me back a little bit more than it should. I want to share with you today how to approach things the right way, so you don't make the mistakes I made, so your job hunting, your career hunting, goes smoothly. And our next speaker. Always difficult to give a speech for an introduction. You're saying, and that.